There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, sorry I'm late. Just getting ourselves organized here. Talking to my cat. I'm a little behind because I was playing board games with my oldest. He stopped by the house and we get to have some lunch together and hang out together, and that was super cool. And the you can't put a value on those moments. So yeah, sorry I'm late, everybody, but there you go. Anyhow, I hope everybody's been having a good day. I'm working on all the promo stuff in order to put out the new get the new book all promoted and everything for this week. So let's see. There's today's page. I haven't put the text on it yet and posted it because, like I said, my son came by and we spent some time. So I'll do that as soon as the stream is over. Corbin's been having a nap upstairs and now he wants to say hi. Hey, how you doing, baby? This is me, Corbin. Yeah. Okay. Had a good time at the jam last night. I've got something to show you. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da-do. So, with the comic jam that we do, we've been doing this since 2015. On the first 7 jam books that we published through RP Comics, collected them in a comic format, and so now we've done 7 jam books in a zine format, and my friend Doug puts those together. He's who I've been doing this jam with all this time with people, and so we've got just a bunch of comics, and so well, that's Doug's actual book. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Comic Jam 5. Here's Strange Animals. So Shark Story is the single one. What did you draw at the jam? Comic Jam 2. And so we've been having a lot of fun doing these. And, it's just, there's so many interesting things that we've been putting together that over time that showcases all of the different submissions by people. So, and you see there's a big long list of people's names that take part. And so somebody will start something and then people continue on the visual and textual narrative. And so in this case, it's musical. And so we've got different, what do we got? People, skeletons, piles of sand. Somebody's watching this. Here's the crazy drummer. Then we've got a cat. And then somebody says, would you please take a note? Just fun. You know what I mean? Like, and here's another crazy page. Dragon. There's a bunch of cows that all have dragon off spray with them, which is, of course, fun. And then we've got, could I pass as a dragon? I found some wings. Stacy, take those off this minute. Stacy's mother was a coward. You know what? It's time I made my own choices. Go, Stacy! And there's Stacy jumping over the moon. And then there's me drawing a cow being crazy at the end. But you can see all the different distinct styles that people have, and as we put these all together, and they assemble some crazy pages. Like here's another crazy one. Meanwhile, feet sticking out of the panel. Since then, somebody's nose, eventually an ear, and so teeth. Anyways, and now, it's just silly business, and there's no rhyme, no reason about how one connects to the other, and just a lot of fun with a lot of really interesting and unique styles that people bring to the table, and they have fun. So yeah, we've been enjoying doing this for a long time now, and yeah, so there's a whole stack of these that we've been putting out. Hiya, Linda. Welcome aboard. Hiya, Tim. Corbin, we missed Corbin saying hi. Hey, everybody, how you doing? All right. Yep, there we go. So anyways, this is a bunch of the pages that are the books that we've been putting together based on Comic Jam pages that we've been making. Let's see what else. So we put out one-page extravaganza halfway through last year. Oh, that's number 2. We put out one-page extravaganza through halfway through last year. Then we followed up a couple months later with Alphabet Book, and then now we were going to release at the end of the year, but we decided to bump it back a little bit. So here is One Page, Volume 2, that's coming out now, and so I've been spending the day putting together all kinds of promotional stuff for that, and which is fine. It's just not all that exciting. Corbin's found it very boring. Well, let's be honest. He's not enjoyed the process of it all. He has no idea what I'm doing. Only that I'm not spending time telling him, you're the best boy in the world. So, like that? I can do it like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're the best boy in the world. Yeah. Okay. Every time I do a silly impression, all I can think of is Olivier thought my Hamlet was divine, as to say right afterwards. It's so silly. But who was it that said that? Burns, Ed Burns, I think. Okay, so I have been. What did I just drop? I don't know. In my mind. So I have been doodling and sketching and all kinds of things in the book. Oh, Linda says hi, Corbin. And I have been doing a whole bunch of little mini panel jams of putting together pages. And, I'll be doing something with these at some point in time. But in the interim, I'm really just exploring a whole bunch of different, layout possibilities and story possibilities. And in that way, trying to figure out how to go about... Oh, Linda, thank you very much for putting that up there. Thinking about how to go forward with things. Yes, buddy, I know. Did you see the tapping on the shoulder? Anyways, harassment. And I've got this small sketchbook that I can carry around in my pocket, and I can doodle, whatever comes to mind, like dancing like I'm Kate Bush. If anybody's old enough to remember Kate Bush's music videos, you know what I mean. Like here's just a little panel image, laid out a few in case I feel so inspired. So little things like this, and then that's it, because it's a brand new book. But little things like this is the sort of stuff that keeps the juice flowing. And if you've got those static minutes, there's 2 things I always encourage people to use those static moments of time with. One, Zen. Just allow yourself to have quiet thoughts, or just look out the window to just look out the window. And but if you're a busybody, get a sketchbook and see what you can make out of that, because heaven knows where I don't know what to do. I don't know what if I should finish or where I should take things, with any of the projects I'm working on, or what I should and you just open up your magic little book, and you've got some pre-scribbled things that you can do something with. So I'll be posting today's mixed media page that we started on, I think it was Friday, and what day is it? It's Tuesday. Yeah. So I'll get that posted up, and then I've got some of these things that I just showed you that I've been doing rough finished pages that'll be going up on our Patreon. So I keep touching myself with the microphone, so I'm sorry if it's making all kinds of noise. Now I've got the suggestion book out, and I just thought I'd just pick something, and away we go. Now there's a couple of suggestions for Frankenstein. What if Frankenstein was a trendsetter wearing bolt necklaces? That's from Ann Lahr. And another one is Frankenstein doing karaoke, and that's from Walter Nelson. The thing behind these Frankenstein, now let me see if I can pull these up. The thing behind the Frankenstein suggestions is that I've done a whole bunch of Frankenstein pages over the years, and with doing that, I've there's one. Okay, there we go. So I've got, I'll show you some of them. But the way that I do Frankenstein is as though he is a teenager or young child. So let's see, I'll switch the camera so we can get this in frame. So here's one of them. This is Frankenstein goes to kindergarten for the first time. And so this page, and I'll zoom it up. So this is, it always starts with, hello, my name is Stephen, and I'm brushing my teeth. For whatever reason, I just found that really funny. And so in this case, there's no pre-narrative to this, but for some reason, the Frankenstein monster from Universal Horror Films has the mentality of a 5-year-old. And so his new adopted parents are signing him up for kindergarten. And his teacher is Mr. Short, and it's a play on Martin Short, which is why he's like, wow, and then we go through. So then the rest of the page, I get to spend having fun with the things that kids do, at primary school, and at least that's what we used to call it. So you can see, as I'm drawing in some of these images, they're going through the day-to-day, moments at primary school. And so I ended up doing 2. Let me see if I can find another one to show you. But this is from the first book that I put out, which was in a portrait format. It never went online. It was a regionally published thing in a soft cover. And I'd sent a bunch of them out, and I found them to be just some silly fun. Maybe I only put Stephen Goes to Kindergarten in this one. I thought I'd put both. Well, okay. So there's a couple of them anyhow. And Stephen Goes to Kindergarten, Stephen's first driving lesson. And so these pages were just, it's always the same thing. It's my name is Stephen, I'm brushing my teeth. And then it's whatever absurdity. And in the portrait format, I've done a couple of these, but they've been Stephen Goes to a Country Jamboree, and just more silly nonsense. And so with these suggestions, my phone just bumped on to tell me that I'm here online. So with these different suggestions, the possibilities really are endless. Like there's endless amounts of fun that one can have when looking at how do I go about telling what stories and so forth. And, it's just taking one simple idea of, universal Frankenstein monster and sitting down with that and coming up with all kinds of new narratives. And it's, I like doing stuff like this. I know that the challenge of it is really, it's a licensed character. And licensed characters can be kind of sloppy, for people to use in their own projects because, we live in a world of litigiousness here in the Western world. So I would hate to see people get in trouble, but it doesn't mean at the same time you can't put some variations on the fun. And my little variation is that, excuse me, Corbin. What are we doing, Dad? What's the rustling? My variation is that his name is Stephen. So, it's, we got to have what fun we can. So I thought that I'll take this new suggestion and I will finally do another, hello, my name is Stephen, I'm brushing my teeth narrative. And we'll take that and run with it. And so I'm going to leave that first panel open, okay, like we did on the previous pages, so that the brushing the teeth panel, it really kind of sits, hello, my name is Stephen, I'm brushing my teeth, and there we go. So that's already done. I just do the same one for each of these stories, and it's good silly business. But let's take a look at our first suggestion. What do we got? Frankenstein is doing karaoke, and let's go with that. So I've got my new pencils here, the Pilot pencils that I have with the lead. I've reloaded this guy, and so we'll just start. Is that up here? Or do you want me to use the darker pencil? I don't mind. There we go. So I'll use the darker pencil because I think that comes through clearly. I just bang camera. Let me zoom in a little bit. Are you going to be agreeable, robot? For whatever reason, my fingers are problematic with touch sensitivity, with touch technology. I don't know what it is, but I don't seem to set those registers off or something on those. So here we go. There we are. We're in frame. So I'll move this down so we can see it. Now there's the shoulder piece, and so what we'll start doing is that we'll start putting in our Frankenstein monster. It's very dark. Maybe we can see the lighter pencil because it's close enough now. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. So I'll start doing it and putting it in lightly, and we'll draw it really loose, and then we'll just take off running. Don't run. Don't run. Walk safely around the edges of the pool, kids. Okay. So we've got his big lapels. And so this episode is Frankenstein doing karaoke. So I'll write it on the page. Paper. You're going to look like paper. Frankenstein. And I'll put in parentheses, Stephen doing karaoke. There we are. And that suggestion comes from Walter. And so thank you, Walter, for that suggestion. Okay, so let's do Frankenstein standing up in front of a microphone, and we're going to play with this idea of the karaoke experience. And so I don't know if other people have done karaoke before or not. Oh, you want to? No, it's Walter's doing karaoke, and Lars is the other one. It doesn't matter. Well, I'll end up doing both within the next 2 days. So, so there we go. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of the sort of cliches about karaoke. So our first one will be Frankenstein standing at the microphone on his own. You know, with this kind of a bit. And then we'll have different people helping him through the evening. And so what this will let us do is change up some of the perspectives and take a look at how we can break this down. So I've got a random sheet of paper right here. Hopefully you can see it. But what we'll do is we'll play with some ideas on this paper. So if our first panel is, hello, my name is Stephen. I'm brushing his teeth. So we'll put the toothbrush. Right? So there's our first panel. We've got that set in stone already. And our next panel is going to be him moaning at the microphone, doing the stereotypical Frankenstein. You know. Now, what other things can we have in here in a karaoke? You've got the inebriant, right? So we'll have that, you know, a person. And sorry, Linda. So we'll have, or I guess let's call him an intoxicant. Intoxicant. There we go. And I don't know if that's a real word. And then we can have your, you know, Korean youth. We'll have and then we'll have. You know, the businessmen. We'll have a businessman in here in one with the suit with the arms rolled up on the sleeves and the tie around the forehead. And so I'll write that in parentheses as well. And can anybody else think of any other? Oh, we could have the crying lady. So the reason that I'm using some of these examples is that I used to do my laundry at many, many years ago at a laundromat that was directly beside and connected to by a doorway to the local tavern in my neighborhood. And unfortunately, these are all gone now. But and so you would hear, depending on if you came on a certain night, I think it might have been Friday nights, because being as cool as I am, I'd be doing laundry on a Friday night. But you'd be hearing some of these people um, singing karaoke, and enjoying themselves immeasurably, right? Enjoying themselves with this absolute abandon. But there was one guy I remember he sang Kenny Rogers, but he didn't know the words, and unfortunately he wasn't able to really follow the words. So if we can find time, baby Lucille, and the cropping, good times, bad times, and it was just wonderful and absolutely wonderful. So that's our intoxicated guy. And then there was that a lady who's singing Patsy Cline. I gotta have somebody singing Patsy Cline. And you want to sing Patsy Cline, Corbin? Corbin would like to sing Patsy Cline for everybody. Come on up, buddy. Come on. Don't be shy now. You already asked for it. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Corbin singing Patsy Cline. Crazy. I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. How's that? He's about had enough of that. Okay. So there's our Patsy Cline. And of course, this lady would blubber away. And so, when I'm thinking about doing these one-page stories, this is what goes through my head, is that I start remembering actual experiences or remembering actual individuals. And you channel that into your story. So, what was the first song? I'm trying to remember what he said. Oh yeah, Lucille. It was Lucille. And then you got the one guy who is. I don't know that I'll necessarily draw this panel, but there was this one guy who would do. He was the most waspy-looking individual that was probably in this entire place, because it was a country and western local tavern, and here's the waspiest individual you've ever got doing the worst, movie-esque Hispanic cliche accent, singing Freddie Fender. And he would do the same song every week that I overheard this. It was terrible. Anyways, but I'm not gonna fit that guy in, because honestly, it's just terrible. And then let's see, what else was there. Oh, there was a native guy that sang Shaft. Like, it's just the silliest ensemble of songs, and yet people had a ball. People were having fun, and yeah. So we're gonna channel some of that. We got our crying lady doing Patsy Cline. We've got we can have the Korean youth doing some K-pop song. I have to find out one. There's our businessman, and he has to sing Born to Be Wild, because it's the worst song ever, if you work in the bar industry, because people will play it 7 times a night if they're allowed to do so on a jukebox. And it's always the least rebellious people in society that want to play Born to Be Wild. Let's see, what else? What else, Corbin? Any ideas? No, he just wanted to sing his song. Yeah, we'll have let's just say the most glammed up person doing Elton John. And what is it? Is it Mandy's song? Does anybody know what that title is? You can tell everybody this is my song. I think it is. I think it's. Anyhow, so we've got some things to work through here. So we've got the intoxicated guy. So what I can have is, in our first panel that we draw Frankenstein at the karaoke night at the microphone. Okay, so we'll scribble our little microphone shape in our mock-up, and then we can have this guy lean through and start adding his nonsense to it, and we'll have Frank just standing in the similar pose, and of course he'll just turn his head to try to figure out what this guy's done. And so we can now we've already got our first person in there. There's the inebriated guy, and then why not have another panel of him singing? We'll have him close up and really going for it, because you've always got that person, and we'll just double down on this character here, but you've always got that person who wants to sing like "Welcome to the Jungle" or something like Guns N' Roses, and it's just screaming. Anyways, and so we'll have Frank looking down at him, right? So then we'll do. So the whole point of this is to have repetitive images of Frank kind of swarmed. You know, he just sort of stays here throughout the evening, and all of these other karaoke people keep overstepping his songs. So we'll have the crying lady who's, you know, got the microphone up really close to her face and singing her "Crazy." Yeah. Somebody always has to sing "Crazy," Corbin. Corbin doesn't know that song. Yeah, so we'll change our perspectives, and we'll change, you know, the scale of things, move the camera in and out on where Frank is standing, etc. So we've got there's our Patsy Cline, and here's our Born to Be Wild. We'll do this person in here, and then this is where we'll have a couple of guys hand over, pardon me, hand on each other's shoulders as they're singing their favorite song together, and Frank standing in behind them like, right? Hello, I'm amazing. Nice to meet you all, Mr. Robert Doon. Hi, Robert. Welcome aboard. So we've got our Born to Be Wild businessmen. We've got our Patsy Cline. We've got our intoxicated guy. And, pardon me. Yeah. And we'll do Welcome to the Jungle. He'll break into Welcome to the Jungle as well. So why not? And then we've got our crying lady, Patsy Cline Crazy. And then we've got our... Oh, yeah, that's what's missing. It's the kids doing their K-pop thing. So we'll have a whole bunch of crazy teenagers, and at this point, you know, Frank will have his hands up in a pose, defensive pose, and pardon me. And so the last thing will just be we'll zoom in on that. Frank's hands up, covering his face. And it'll just be the stereotypical universal, instead of fire bad, karaoke bad, and then there's our whole thing. So while he's not necessarily reduced to infancy, like I do in the other previously, you know, done pages where he's in kindergarten or he's a teenager or whatever it is, I don't think I have a defined age for him in this one, but our Frankenstein / Stephen character is going to take part in a karaoke night just the same. So we've got our rough layout, the key pieces of information we want to fit in our page. But what comes next from this is how, you know, what we do, how we go about laying these images in together. Do we have anything overlap? another panel or things like that. Like the inebriant guy, he should be leaning right into this panel here. Robert says, "Hey Chris, these daily streams have got me in the groove this year, so thanks. Instead of overdoing it and burning out, my daily goal is a one thumbnail page." Nice, excellent. I'm happy to hear that, Robert. I really, really am. That's fantastic news. It's a healthy thing to set yourself a manageable goal, and 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 to sort of just apply that to yourself. And if you start feeling over time that you might want to develop something further, then it's your time. It's your timetable. You can say, well, rather than doing the thumbnail today, I'm going to try to flesh this page out a little. But if you feel so inspired the following day to go back to another thumbnail, why not? Right? That's a beautiful way to approach it. Some of these go through 2 to 5 page layouts, but at the end of the day, it's one new page. See, perfecto. That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear it, man. Yeah, I'm glad. Any way we can help, right? So we want to have our inebriated guy going into this panel here, and so that tells us something about how close this image has to be that image. We can really expand on the size of him for his crooning by this fourth image. The only constant that I have for these pages is this first panel, the Universal Frankenstein monster, who in these pages that I do is named Stephen, brushing his teeth, introducing himself and brushing his teeth, and then on we go to our adventure. So yeah, let's so we'll keep that panel in place, and away we go. So our first panel that we're drawing in is the Frankenstein Stephen, who's standing at the microphone. So I'm going to exaggerate his ears a little bit, I think, and play up on some of the features, so it looks like the Universal monster, but at the same time, there's a bit of a liberation in, we can take a little bit of license to it. There's a book that's out that I would recommend or encourage people to take a look at. There's a area creator here named Michael Walsh, and he's got a new Frankenstein book that he's been doing. And he's also the creator of Silver Coin, which is it's a comic series about a cursed coin and how it passes through different hands, and terrible things happen. Terrible things ensue as people come in contact with this coin. So definitely worth a look. So we've got our Frankenstein coming in here, and I've been drawing this kid enough, I think, that we did a convention together, Michael and I, and we were asked to come up and to draw before the convention on the stage there. It was really kind of keen because they had this overhead camera microphone system that could look down at what we were doing, which was really interesting. We approached things very differently, he and I, and so we had two very different looking Frankensteins. It was kind of, and yet both at the same time reminiscent of the Universal one. So that's kind of fun. It's nice when people are doing things that furthers their own interest. I don't know if Universal, I don't know if they still own, I would think that they would still own the Universal Monsters. I'm not entirely sure. If anybody knows that, I'd be interested in finding it out. But it's almost become everybody thinks that this is what the monster looks like. So whenever they try to do a modern adaptation of it, if it doesn't bear resemblance to the Universal one, I think that people have a hard time with that. So, okay, so we've got The monster coming in here. Big ear, big hair, big forehead. You know what they say about people with giant foreheads? They say, "Brap, brap, brap." Sorry, it's a Mars Attacks joke. Their heads are full of jelly. Okay, so here's our Frankie. He's coming in there. Got to give that furrowed, recessive brow. It's so interesting the way that they designed, I think Karloff, was it? Or is it Chaney? I think it's Karloff. The way he designed the monster, the way that it looks. So cool. Right? Corbin says, right on. So here's our principal guy, giving that flat top. It's always been interesting to me, the fact that the top of his head is flat. It's kind of crazy. Because I don't think the top of his head is flat in the book. I think he's just a really big dude. Okay, so we've got him coming together here now. I got to do his neck bolts. So the other story suggestion for Stephen is, well, recently we had Stephen as a hairdresser, and so in the Stephen as a hairdresser, I did all of his haircuts resemble the Bride of Frankenstein. And that was a fun one to do. The next one is, we've got karaoke today and Frankenstein as a fashion trendsetter wearing his bolt necklaces. So we got to make sure we get our bolt necklaces in here. Have to do it. It's the rage. All the kids are wearing these in their fashion now. They're going out to the shops and they're getting bolts inserted in their necks, and it's the hip hopinist. The hip hopinist. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that, Robert. That's good news. Bejeweled? I think I'm trying to remember the name that I just of the board game that I just played with my son Sean. Stopped over on his day off. Hang out for a little bit with the old man. You get to missing your kids when they grow up. You know, we try to spend whatever time we can with them, right? Okay, so I'm going to pick little defining lines around the character here and come in here with this darker blue. Make those bolts on that neck really stand out. Is this, Robert, if you're still here, are you doing thumbnails for a given project that you've been working on, or is it just doing thumbnails to just whatever random things pop in your head and seeing about structuring story with them? So here's Frankie. And maybe I should include a Rocky joke. You know, a Rocky Horror Picture Show joke is what I'm referring to. Because he's almost a Frankenstein monster, isn't he? Like, if anybody's not familiar with the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's a crazy play. It's not where Tim Curry would play Frankfurter and just give this most over-the-top performance for it. Right? I'm going to pet Corbin for a second, folks. He's bossy. All right. Can you see him smacking me on camera? If people can see him smacking me, they're going to tell you to stop it, Corbin. If I stop petting him, he gets upset. Leave that alone. So here's our Frank, and we'll put his hand up. Big chunky fingers. All right. Sound good, Corbin? There we go. And that thumb. Thumb, 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 thumb. And so here we'll put our microphone. And I've got the stand. Now, when I have done, stand-up comedy and stuff like that, or whenever I've had to talk in front of a group and I have to go with a microphone, the height of the microphone stand is always low. And so it's definitely got to be low for Frankenstein here. So I'm thinking about where the muscles are as we're putting in the shadows. There we go. So it's coming together all right. How you doing, Paul? Welcome aboard, buddy. Where to be? Haven't seen Paul in a while. It's awesome. Howdy doody. I try to catch Paul does Saturday morning streams where he's. I tried to catch it this Saturday because I had a little bit of time, but when I had to finally head out the door is when Paul started. I'm like, no. That's my scheduling problem, not Paul's. Paul's consistent. I had this grand design to watch on this weekend and didn't get a chance to do it anyways. But I watched the video. Paul's got his books are the Detective Perez series. I think I've got something by Robert. I think I've got one of your books as well, Robert. I'll have to show that. For those that are joining late, this is what I was talking about earlier, and that this has come out on Amazon. It's a little zoomed in right now, folks. Sorry about that. But so there's one page, volume 2. Is it's the same size and everything as the original, and very exciting. So we're in the midst of putting together all of our promotion for that. And Laura's going to sit me down and get me organized. The challenge when you're engaged in a lot of stuff and you're still an independent creator is that when are you going to be afforded the time to sit down and promote the things that you create? And you've got all kinds of other obligations. And although my kids are all grown up, I'm still made myself even busier. So so there you go. Okay, so here's our Frankenstein coming in, and oops. And so I'm just going to put some of these details in the fingers here now, and get his hands in there as he's reaching for the microphone. He's going to have to sing something, but as far as it goes for what I'm going to have him sing, I do not know. Corbin knows. What are you saying? What should he have? What should we have him sing? Hi everybody. I'm needy for attention. My name is Corbin. I don't know if you can see this, but he's right here. Well, I guess you can see him now. Get out of the road. All right. So here's our Frankenstein coming in. And so I'm setting the tone of with this first panel. This is, how I draw him here is what I'm going to have to replicate a few times for, different movements and things like that from panel to panel to panel. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Now we got to do stitches in his arms. Had an interesting conversation last night at the Jam with some local animation and film enthusiasts that had an event recently where they Skyped a call with Bill Plimpton as they were showing his films at this gallery, and it was very cool. They were just very excited about it and telling me all about meeting him, and cool guy, amazing creator. But I ran into the guys last night, and they were telling me about their adventures of meeting him, and that's kind of neat when you hear about people getting to meet their heroes, their influences, and they're not disappointed by who they meet. I don't know. You're in the camera now, bud. Everybody can see you acting like a goon. Here we go. So I think we'll have, I don't want to cut it there. I think we'll go right below the jacket, and that'll be the bottom of our panel. What do you think of that idea, Corbin? I think that's great, buddy. Where are we at? Paul says I gotta run to the bus stop. Back in 15. Keep going without me. Okay. And pick up the Bambinos. Yeah. Everybody, I've been through that anyways. All right, there's our first panel. There's Frankenstein as he's about to sing his song. And so our next panel that we have to have is what did I say he was? Oh, the drunk karaoke guy. So we're gonna have to put him leaning forward and grabbing the microphone. Call my baby, light my fire. Yeah. So we'll see what we can come up with here. Do I want to do a... You know what? Why don't we do a guy and a gal doing this? Why don't we have one of each? Because that way, you know, we're fair. We're being fair for everybody. All right, so so here's our next panel. So I'm going to have this guy leaning into the first panel. So I'll overlap these images. And so what I'll do is I'll draw in our business guy, our intoxicated business dude. And he's got his he's grabbed the microphone that's in the first panel. And so I'll have him singing like this, and he's holding the microphone stand off to the side. And then Frankenstein will just be looking down at him like, Arr. Brad. No Bon Jovi. There you go. Right, Corbin? Corbin is completely content to just be right in the middle of the way. So thank you for that, buddy. So let's put the microphone in his hand. Get his knuckles in here. There we go. And then he's got to have his thumb pushed up. There we go. I don't know where I've put my electric eraser. He'd be handy right now. So if our microphone is here, and it's angling through so that it's sticking out there. There we go. So we gotta put, before I forget, I gotta put the wire. What are we doing, Corbin? Get that wire in there. Have you had enough? You want to go? Now he's under my arm. Okay, there you go. Good job, buddy. Okay, so let's get some shoulder in here. And then we'll get the jacket going. So here's your company night out guy. Oh, let's get the tie hanging over the shoulder. So the part that kind of makes it fun is the repetition of the Frankenstein trying to figure out what in the world is going on around him, you know. And I have to come up with a good song for Frankenstein to actually sing, you know. It's the build up to it, right? All these other people interfering, getting in the way, and then when he finally does get to sing. I don't know, maybe some carpenters, you know. Bird, hello, bear, right? Yeah. Crows to you. That's just, I'm sorry, that just lends itself perfectly to the idea. Crows to you. you. Yeah. So when I'm pursuing ideas like this, and there's a repetition to it, it can become rather a little bit monotonous when you're drawing, you know, you know, repetitive elements. Let's say, like, there's one thing about having to include those a little bit in a short story. It's another thing entirely, to have to draw 1,000 pages of a singular character. It can be a little, exasperative. So we're going to try not to do that, Corbin. He's just sitting on the floor staring at me now like, I don't know what you're talking about. Make some sense, old man. So here's his other jacket. I got some folds in his shirt. Then I'm trying to make him look a little bit disheveled, Yeah, he's coming together pretty good. I'm feeling good with this guy. So let's get the headband. We'll get the headband guy going here. What you're doing, Corbin? Stop it. Batting something around. Give me some stubble. You just close the big deal guy. It's an official classification. Who's that guy? He's the I've just closed a big deal guy. Whoops, I'm sorry. I moved out of frame. I'll move this down. Is that better? I think so. Yeah. Okay. So now we're getting our I just closed a big deal guy drawn in. Make him a little cross-eyed. That's just cruel. Making this person as silly as I can here. Give him some glasses. Cross, there you go. Here we are. Get his eyeglasses off here. Fun. And then here is our tie headband. So with creating this character and then, giving him some extensive characteristics, and how he's behaving in the foreground, I still have to have the consistency of Frank's response in the background in order to sort of sell it. So let's have that arm leaning out. Where he's got a hold of the microphone. Now let's kick his jacket up a little bit. Apply a little bit of motion as he's leaning over. See what that gives us. Here we are. Messed up pocket. Yeah, messed up pocket. Yeah. So here's our first character coming through. And then the bunched up sleeve, as Mr. Sweaty Karaoke guy is making a mess of his jacket. So let's see, let's move this up a tiny bit. So we've got Frankenstein, and pull the camera out a little bit. There we go. So you can see oh, here's the whole image anyways. Now my thing's being fussy. That's all right. That's all right. So here's our guy. Now, I can continue to overlap. I like to do this a fair amount, is where you'll have, if this is panel 1, and you've got somebody standing here, standing tall, and then the next panel has somebody butting into it, and their hand is reaching over and extending their body into the next frame. And then you can have that either peek in behind or overlap the next frame that's coming up. And so it gives an interesting kind of layout to the page, where it's sort of, because we've got these different directional aspects to it. Frank's moving this way. The intoxicated karaoke guy is moving this way. And so that now we've got these two up against each other and kind of crossing over. And as his arm moves across the stage, where he's holding the microphone stand, hi Maritza, how are you? Welcome aboard. So we'll have his hand holding on, but then we're also going to have the microphone stand on an angle like so, which runs parallel with how Frank's is. And the reason for doing so is, again, to tilt the direction again. So as we've got the hand laid over top, so we'll have the head of the cane, etc. Oh, let's put that inner shirt first. I stick that out a little bit. Make light of his outfit here. There we are. So here's our guy. And then there's a second finger, etc. as he's got. And so now we have to do this. We have to take the angle and cut it back. Thanks everybody for giving Christopher a thumbs up. Oh wow, cool, thank you. Super cool. There we go. And then we'll have the cane fit inside the hand, the palm of the hand. There we go. Can we get in any closer? There we are. Look at that. We're cooking with beans. Okay, so now we've got our two characters side by side. And so what I'll need to do is I'll put a Frankenstein in behind this guy. First, let's get his glasses finished in. And give him his neckline there. Okay. So here's our first cheeky character. don't really have a name for him. So we've got to put, I'm trying to think of, can I have Frankenstein turning over to the side with his hands kind of, reaching for the microphone as it's, is pulled away from him. That might be a fun thing to consider. But we'll see how we do here. Yeah, we got to have the whole mine hand going in. So there's, speaking of Universal Monsters, Paul says the characters look great. Thanks, buddy. I'll show you something really fun. Where is the book that I'm looking for? Watch it be right in front of my face. I've got this absolutely lovely book by a cover artist from the old horror magazines. And so what this is images of all these different covers and the work therein. I'm trying to remember his name and it's not coming to mind right off the top, so bear with me for a second as I have to do the monotonous looking through the shelves and going, oh, it's that guy. Which is official. It's an official approach I take to remembering who people are. It's going to make me crazy. It's not there. Oh, I see. I know why. I'm going the wrong way. I moved my shelves. And of course I'm moving my shelves. I have very clearly thrown off the rhythm. But I'm trying to clean up the studio space a little bit. Graphite ink, lead poisoning, Frank Frazetta. Old God's anew. I can't think of what his name is off the top of my head. Not Gonzalez, although Gonzalez did Fantastic Monsters, and I'll show you those. Jeff Jones, Art of... Not Golden. Fabry. Yeah, that'll be annoying me all night long. And I'll find it and I'll show you tomorrow. But he says it takes one last peek because he's a maniac. I'm a maniac. Anyways, so is that it? Okay, I'm just gonna make myself crazy. So this is Jose Gonzalez, and so he did Vampirella, and as well as a whole bunch of like romance covers, and his style is so gorgeous, and it's very of its time. Here we go, pull that back a little bit. So it's very much of its time, and so you can see all these romance books of the 60s and 70s, and the Harlequin, everybody's having the passionate smooches, and so he's done all these different covers of all these different, and then other stuff, but his horror books were just, look at this is phenomenal. And so this is from one of his Vampy books, and it's just the art in his stuff was so completely crazy. Excuse me for the not for everybody stuff. Now this one is teen heartthrobs, and so, and he even did collector's cards. But it's interesting when you see an artist who is so very dialed in. Here's some of the old Valentine magazines, that he would do, and it's all romance books for for the time, but just beautiful work. It's the same kind of approach as like Al Williamson and all these other guys that did these really realistic looking images of characters that, quite honestly, are like, this is a vampire book, this is a superhero book, and yet the person's drawing them with this sort of realistic visual that just makes you pause for a second. I think I just remembered who it was. I'm on the other side of the studio now, but you can hear me because of my new mic setup. Woohoo! Yeah. I have no idea where I put this book. There it is. Got it. Basil Gogos. So this is the book I've been thinking of. And so I feel like I can see that he's influenced you quite a bit. Oh yeah, the Al Williamson, the all of these different the Modesty Blaze stories, all of the old newspaper strips. Big impact on me when I was a kid growing up. Here's Noel Sickles. Noel Sickles is another one of these artists that just... Take a look here. So here's some Noel Sickles pages where here's some pipeline guys putting up a big thing. There's a little girl and her grandma. Sickles' work is just fantastic. And, I mean, look at that work. That's fantastic. Town's on fire. There's some World War II material. There's two, and here's this Scorchy Smith. And so Noel Sickles' Scorchy Smith is really rudimentary, but it just gets tighter as it goes. Noel Sickles and Alex Toth had a mutual respect, I think. But you can see as he develops over time, and this fantastic use of gray, white, and black, right? It's not as detailed as like Williamson, but the structure of it all and the very realistic framing and stuff looks like a television show, right? So Basil Gogos, this is a guy that did the cover for all of the Famous Monsters covers. And so here is some of his work. Now, this book is really keen because here's the monster, or the Frankenstein monster, that we're doing our little Stephen strip about. But it has, now there's the penciled. He would use vellum and tracing paper to refine and create just the right balance between life, drama, and homage. So you can see this overlay. There we go. So you can see the overlay that he would use on vellum and tighten up where some of the directions are going in his piece. Paul says, I have a nice book by Ron Tyner, Drawing a Figure Without a Model. Reminds me of your art. Oh, wow. Cool, Paul. So here's a sketch, really loose pencil sketch. Here's where he's added tones and values, right? There we go to refining for the cover itself. And then we get down to base colors and applying the paint. And it's just the different approaches that he would take to stuff and his different studies that he would do and trying to pull together how he's going to approach these things. But then when you start seeing the results and the really, really clear understanding that he has of the surface details, of the light, oh, just fantastic stuff. But he did a lot of images. So here we go. Here we go into some of the covers. That's Glenn Strange as a Frankenstein monster. There's the Bride of. But hot colors were in his palette, so that's where you're seeing these crazy pinks and yellows and real extreme contrast in the values that he's putting into things. But just wonderful work. There's the vampire. Again, even though that's a really loose sketch, you can see with clarity the character coming through, and if you squint your eyes, it's right on the mark. But here we go. There's a Bela Lugosi. Does anybody have any Tim Hortons donuts? Yeah. We really need to clean his house more. Yeah, yeah. You know, and the various things he said in the movies. There's Lugosi himself and the character he's known for. But there's the Wolfman. And so all of these universal monsters, this book is just gorgeous for seeing all the ways that he would work his way. So here's a sketch, the loose sketch. There's its refining process. You know, then we get into the values. Then we're picking at the details. Like, it's just to see somebody's process so clearly. What a gift. Just great stuff. And so there we are. There's the bride. Yeah. Don't spill that on my carpet. Yeah. Right? Were you invited? Like, it's just all these different great moments from the films. So there's the creature. Like, it's just, some of these are crazy when you think about what a goofy design, and at the same time beautiful and foreign and mysterious and menacing, and you know, do you have a gray poupon or whatever he says. I can't remember his lines. There's the Phantom of the Opera. The Phantom always scared me. It always scared me when I was a kid, right? Hey, what's up? Look at these now. Pinpoint dropouts as in other prints. Look at that. He's making notes on some of the values. Look at that. There's the man, Lon Chaney. Ah, pizza. Right, yeah. So there's the mummy. There's Hyde, a hunchback. So many different. There's another werewolf. Henry Hull's version. That's Lon Chaney as the what is this one called? It's the vampire. It's a vampire, but from I wish I remember. After midnight. Something about midnight. Yeah, bud. Hi. You want to join me? And there's Nosferatu. They just made a movie of this guy again. Christopher Lee. Look at that. What a hippie. Anyways. Ingrid Pitt as the vampire. Yep. Vincent Price. Not looking his best. There he is in the Raven. There's someone in the closet. Yeah. So, anyways, Basil Gogos. I'll put it up here for people if they want to look him up. Basilgogos. There's his, and that's his work. Fantastic, fantastic artist. Okay, so we got, so we're looking at our rough layout. And so we've got our guy leaning in and grabbing the microphone. Check. And so we've got to put the Frank in behind him. And so my intention was to have his hand up, you know, as in a, you know, as he's reaching for him. Switch the pencils. So we'll get his big mitts here in the frame, you know, with that, this kind of a, let me see if I can get it in this, yeah, these hands. Oh, you know what I can have him sing? I can have him sing, "Come on, baby, light my fire," and Frank's going, "Fire, man!" You know, why not? So there we go. We got that coming together now. Give a little more body to that finger. Yeah, it's fun when you find some cool artists like that. Ron Tyner. I'm going to have to look Ron Tyner up. Thanks for mentioning him, Paul. Drawing the figure without a model. Oh, drawing figure without model. I'll check it out. Ron Tyner. Good name. I'm Ron Tyler. Yeah, cool. Okay, so here's our next. My phone is just buzzing like bonkers today. Probably everybody like, hey, Chris, do you want a sandwich? It might not be why it's buzzing, but, you know, one can hope and dream. I wouldn't argue if people were just calling my phone offering sandwiches. I like sandwiches. Okay, so here's our big Frankie hand as he's reaching for our silly guy. And maybe we'll do I do both hands? Yeah, why not? I'll do the whole, as though he's been pushed in the background, right? Corbin, quit it. My cat has become very demanding. And so if I'm not in my studio, when he thinks I should be in my studio, which is the moment I wake up, he yells at me. I'll look that one up, Paul. Figure drawing without a model. Yeah, I wrote that down. That's great. Finger drawing. He draws fingers. Sit down. Be quiet. All right, so here's his other hand. Making it up as we go along here. Yeah, I'm just making sure I'm not missing out on anybody's suggestions and stuff. So if you've got, I've got the new one-page. So the thing, it's the same. My new book is the same as the old book. Before I forget, so whenever anybody's given suggestions, I put them on the page, right? So every time, like this suggestion is a monkey waxing philosophically. And this page, the suggestion is an immortal woman who's actually a dragon. And so the page layout is still the same, where I've got the page, the suggestion, what I was thinking of, and what the original art looks like. And so in cases where, you know, I'll pencil it and then ink it digitally, or, you know, I'll do it in marker and then color it digitally. This is, oh, thank you, Linda, for putting that link up. So this way people can see the process, just like the last book. But if people, and the reason I'm popping that on there is if people have any suggestions of one-page story ideas that you want to throw at me, feel free to put it in the comments for any of the social media posts I do on Instagram or Facebook or Patreon, or in the comments of after this, you know, at the end of this video. If you do it now, I'll try my best to screen cap it or to write it down. But if you put it at the end of the video, that's easier. So here's his second hand as he's reaching out for him and saying, you know, fire bad. I like the idea to light my fire. That's more exciting to me. Yes, Corbin, what? 125. We're good. And then we'll have his, let's get that second arm in here. He's like me, he rolls his sleeves up a lot. This old Frankenstein guy. Like me, he has a hard time finding clothes that fit. I got these two jackets that I really enjoy, but we had to have the arms let out, another inch added onto them so that I can wear them. People can see that, you know. People can see what you're up to, pal. It's organic. Okay, so we're going to have the same upper body. We got some billows and folds and the jacket. Pardon me. Try to sneeze away from the microphone. You're making me sneeze, Corbin. So yeah, so we'll just keep this on. And then I think for the third panel that's over here on the side, now I initially had him a closer image of this guy, you know, bellowing closer to the frame. But I think what I'll do is that I'll have intoxicated lady doing the same thing. And in that way, you know, I can just keep shaking it up panel to panel. And then, you know, leave the idea of what happened to this guy after he sings Light My Fire in front of Frankenstein Monster. Fireman! That's why you don't butt in front of Frankenstein monsters in a karaoke bar. Is because you're going to end up, if you end up singing the wrong song, oh boy, you're going to go home after having a real serious back massage. So one of the things I can do that I do a fair amount is that I'll take a second value like this, and this often helps me to differentiate what is in front of what, and it also puts a nice little embossed line around the outside edge, which I kind of like. And by doing this, it sort of aids me to say, this is in the foreground of that, and this is in the foreground of that. So as you're going through the coloring process, you're making sure to separate these things. Like in this case where we've got this character who's in front of Frank, by having that little darker line there helps to push the one in front of the other. So if you're able to do things like that, it helps you when you get on to the next processes of your illustrating the page, if it's coloring, if it's whatever it is. But yeah, so it kind of keeps it fun and interesting. And at the same time, most importantly, clear. Especially if you're going to come back and finish something, you know, and a little bit of time has gone by, then oftentimes it becomes, what? You know, where does this end and that begin? You know. So it eliminates some of that confusion. Making sure I'm keeping up on stuff. So I'm really focusing on this physical language, this body language, before I'm worried about the facial expression. Because it's really important to get that. See, like this shoulders needs to be pushed back a tiny bit. Excuse my sniffling. I think Corbin gave me a cold. He didn't. He just sneezes a lot, this cat. yeah. And then we'll flare out the jacket, so apply a little bit of movement. And then we'll put some folds in the pantalon. There we go. So let's do the same as we did over there. It's darker framing line. Tidy that up a little bit. Yeah, so there's our... I had thought about putting Rocky from the Rocky Horror Picture Show in here as well, but we'll see. Here we go. Okay, so we've got the second character in front of Frank. I'll just draw his face in a minute. You know, let's get on to the next person, and because I'll be drawing different Frankensteins until the cows come home. Yeah. So we've got our guy. Now let's put our lady. Let's do a lady in the foreground, and let's change the scale. Okay, so we don't want to do the same scale for a third time. So we'll put her up closer, and in that way, she's right up into the, like almost like into the lens here, being really annoying. So she's right up in the foreground, and we'll have her thumb peeking out. And then the microphone right up her nose. You know, as like all the kids do back home. So yeah, we're having fun. What time are we at? Oh shoot. So yeah, we're at about an hour and a half. But again, as usual, I have an upcoming appointment right now at the moment. So this is our page that we're putting together for today that will be posted Thursday. And this is our Frankenstein. Frankenstein doing karaoke. And that's from Walter N. for this suggestion for today. Okay, so I think I'll just get back to this in a little bit. It's just we got to do the things we got to do during the course of the day. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming by. Thank you very much, Linda, the moderator with the mostest. And please, if you see other people's names in the chat, like Paul Pate and Robert Doan and Linda Renz, and take a look at what each other are up to. And our friend Susanna comes by. Maritza was here, I think. Maritza's Yarn and Crafts. Take a look at other people's sites and other people's social media accounts where they're showing you with their creativity. Take a peek and see. There might be some stuff that you'd be really interested in finding out about. So, but by all means, and thank you so much. It's really great to talk with everybody and to spend some time together. And yeah, so I'll be putting up today's page very soon, and then we'll also start putting up all of our promotions for this thing in this week. So please keep an eye out for that. And we're going to be offering some digital surprises for people, and that similar to how we did with the first one-page story. Will be and then how we did with Alphabet Book. There's the digital page for people that showed a copy of Alphabet Book that we've been sending out. So the page X, the missing page from the Alphabet Book, the letter X. And so we'll be doing something similar to that for one-page story, and then having some some prizes come up as well. So that should be fun and exciting. Is there anything you want to say before we go, Corbin? Hey, it's cool seeing y'all, baby. Let's catch you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thanks, Corbin. Okay, yeah, we'll be around tomorrow and streaming tomorrow afternoon. I might come on around 1, I think. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful day and goes out and creates something. Bye, everybody. Bye for now.